Hello everybody, this is Maniac4Bricks, and I'm here today with another room update. So the first update you can already see just by this frame. I didn't even walk down any of the steps yet. There is an update right here on the wall. I'll talk a little bit more about this in this video, but I'm also going to mention it again for the room tour, as well as many of the other aspects throughout all these room updates. But this is a power outlet, very worn, but still works very fine, and it has one plug in it. I know the rest of these aren't really going to be used that much, at least for right now, but I'm happy with how this is set up on the wall, and has probably the best part about it, the switch. The switch will actually allow me to turn the lights down here on and off. So a quick look down here. So there we go. This allows me to have multiple lamps daisy-chained onto it, starting at this point, going all the way around the room. Still have to find a way to move it around so it's not in the way of tripping where walkable space is. This is easily installed by just a couple of screws, which are right behind it. I think there's like two up here and one kind of down here. I got them from Ace Hardware and buy the screws, so it only cost me about 48 cents. And then I just drill them into the walls. You know, I had the proper measurements for it, and now it's taut and it's just right. It's wonderful. Really happy how this went. I also have a lot of this wire, strewn about along the side, and a few twisty ties on here, just so it doesn't get in the way of some of the other furniture. Now, as we keep going down here, I'm doing a little bit more cleanup in this area, but that'll be something that I'll keep developing in future updates. I did fit this smaller shelf, which used to be in my room. I fit that down here, so that'll be an extra storage space, but there are plenty other ones that we'll take a look at in a short bit. The bookshelf has been completely wiped on both of these, well, most of it, and I am trying to fit more books and paper, media, whatever you want to call it, in here. So there'd be things like Lego catalogs, perhaps, Lego magazines, perhaps. I'm not really sure on both of those for right now, but I definitely know Lego Bionicle comic books are going to come in here. There are some other Lego books I have strewn about that I will also fit onto this shelf. It may even go down to this shelf as well, depending on how the paper media works out. I actually have this large box here, not this one, this large box here to filter through with all kinds of papers, instructions, etc. A lot of comics are in there. There are even some Mega Bloks instructions I see there, so I have to filter those. Instructions will go into binders, not categorized in any way, shape, or form, just enough to fit them in there and keep them in better condition than this box, and that will also go onto here as well. There are still things to change with these other shelves. This is just a garbage bag. I do have plenty of garbage to take out. That corner has not only more width to it, but also it's full of boxes. Maniac for boxes. This is, pretty much what we got here, and there's probably more around elsewhere. But a lot of empty boxes are in here that I've emptied out recently. They had different Lego sets in there, a whole bunch of different papers, etc. And I'm really happy that I've taken a whole bunch of these out. I think there's only one box underneath that does still have stuff in it. But at least for right now, it gives me the idea that stuff is moving. Stuff is being resorted and reorganized, and I probably don't need a lot of these boxes when it's all said and done. Now, another thing that I had updated here is some of the drawers. Now, for a while, I've had a little issue with how the drawers were going to line up. Some of them were sitting on top of each other, and they would bow in and make it hard for some of the drawers to open. But I finally found a solution with some of the larger drawers that I have and stuck them underneath the Beach Town table on this side. I'm not going to put them on all the sides because I do need the other areas accessible. So I'm really happy with this right now. What's going into them, as well as going into other containers, will still be figured out into time. And yeah, here's a couple more of these. The rest of my drawers and storage-like containers that aren't Tupperwares, they are a little bit staggered. They do have spaces in between each of them, but I am okay with it as it is. It still has enough stability where it won't bow in on the one underneath it, so I'm happy with how this is set up. I still need, again, to move around stuff, but you get the general picture as far as the furniture goes. This one on the end, I'm leaving on the end because, well, it's on wheels, and I thought if I need to move this around to different areas, this will be a very nice thing, so I could, wheel this over to where the beach town is, and if I need to get extra parts, that will be the place for it. Or just have a little, stand-up station to fix something or build something new. I may have mentioned this before, I think I did, at some point, that this is my new building station. This is where I'll be building mods and a couple other sets and other things. Again, still work in progress, but for right now, I'm happy with the unit that's in here, which used to be a computer desk at the other house before this one. It was the one on the side of where I would do many of my first videos from 13 Hammer times 62 days. So, this is great. I'm really happy with how this looks. I'm happy with its setup. I still need to get the keyboard from my garage in order to fit underneath that ramped area. It's supposed to pop up and you can pull it out and put a keyboard on there, but I'm going to use it for just having a flat, smaller building space. Right now, it's just kind of sitting up there where the speakers and the laptop are. The base plates along there are actually for something that I'm going to do pretty soon, an update on a minifigure wall here. There will be a tutorial coming out pretty soon about that, so stay tuned and stay subscribed and all those plugs. I do have more drawers that are on this side. These will be more of my commonly used pieces when all is said and done as far as sorting them. That way I can get to the pieces that I like to use, the most right where I'm building. So that, if I need like a whole bunch of them, I won't have to go far for that. And then from there, I would sort out all the other bins. And then, if everything still needs to be sorted as far as pieces, I would go into here. But I'm not really sure if it's going to get to that point. I'm hoping that it doesn't, because there are still plenty of these containers all around that are open, and there are some of them that are useful even as they are. For example, this whole drawer unit is full of base plates. This one's actually pretty heavy with base plates. But I will still need to sort these around, and I know there's a lot of extra parts in here I need to push somewhere else. I think there are a couple base plates in here I need to take out for another one of those minifigure wall assemblies, so I will try that out as well. Still plenty of other boxes, smaller boxes around here. There's a Tupperware or two. There is the Thomas the Tank box, which is underneath there. You can kind of see it in the yellowish border on the top of the box. And I'm probably going to move that out, as well as some of the other Thomas the Tank stuff. Because I've noticed that I really don't use any of it, and for what little that I've had for it on display, for some of the Thomas the Tank engines in the wooden railway system, is all right here and there. It's only really sat on this wall for about a year or so now, and really hasn't done anything. There's no improvements, there's no extra trains added in there. I do have more trains, I just haven't thrown them in there or really focused on it. So I feel like this would be a better thing if I put them away in some storage, maybe put it back in the garage or something. But before that, maybe I'll just do like one specific video just about them, because they were a lot of fun to go back and try to collect some that I didn't have before. I was really happy with getting the lady from the Magic Railroad. This was a cooler one to get the newer version of Diesel 10. And even like the birthday Thomas. I think this is like Edward or George. No, that's Edward. And then you have like the Celebration Percy for 60 years. So all fun, and it's like a lesser collection than Hot Wheels to me at this point. Like if you're talking about collectability, Lego's number one. Number two is probably either video games. Yeah, I'd probably say video games. Number three, Hot Wheels, and number four, these. I would also say, clone brands, but that's probably actually somewhere along the lines of this in terms of collection. I only get them occasionally, and I would be okay if this went into some kind of storage, out of this room, out of this display. But for right now, there's that. Still plenty to do under here. I don't know if I'm going to keep all those buildings for when it goes back into the beach town. I'm probably going to take out the spaceport because, I don't really expect my beach town to have realism to it, but I gotta admit, this one already, a lot of these buildings in here serve their time for town updates in the past. So I'm probably going to take some of them out and restructure them, or at least bag them up. So, it was good for the time that they had. Coming around here, there's still plenty of stuff to do. Haven't really touched too much in this area yet, but I have been trying to move around a lot of sets onto this shelf to clear for this one. What I'm really trying to do here is that I'm not really sure yet. I don't think that's going to be a second superheroes shelf. I think one is good enough above it. I did do a separate video talking about those figures, so you can check that out on my channel. What I'm thinking on this shelf may go a lot of the stuff that's down here, because that would be just a fun way to show a couple of different licenses at one time, and even have them on display with the figures behind them. It's either that or it's going to be Star Wars on that shelf. One of those two is going here. It's either all of this or Star Wars. I mean, Star Wars is that big, so even after many years of collecting it. So, stuff down here is going to move. I'm going to take apart the Lord Business Evil Lair. I think I've already had some parts of it moved out already, and some of the figures. So I'm going to move the rest of it out and bag it up, because it served its time. Again, I would like to be in a mode where I can rotate some things around. Have certain themes out for a time, and then take them out and put new stuff in there. There will be some staples, like, on this shelf. I think a couple of things will be staples. Even some of these Lego Movie models might be staples for a while. So, and even maybe some of the superhero stuff. But there will be some shelves that here and there will be rotated, and just to keep things fresh, and just to keep the interest of them going. Some of the Toy Story stuff may actually go onto this shelf. I still have to figure out how that's going to go. I don't know exactly where those boxes are going to go for the LEGO Ideas sets, and even some of the exclusives back there. I may put them up on this area where I have a lot of my store boxes, the ones you get on the shelves for collectible minifigures or for Mixels. There's even a few up there for Brick Warriors and Mega Bloks, SpongeBob. So those are fun. I am looking forward to doing some stuff with those as well. I'll probably sort minifigures into each of those. Not collectible minifigs, because we still have a wall over here that's going for that. This still needs a bit of updating as far as the wall itself, because I have to move everything over and find some of the other pieces and throw a couple more series onto there. So I should be good for at least Series 17. I may have to put in a couple more for Series 18, because there's nothing down here on this shelf as far as base plates. I don't expect to put it the entire way, though. I was actually thinking I would try to fit more of the Lego Movie stuff in here, the Lego Batman movie stuff as far as minifigures, so I'm not sure if the dropship is going to stay here. It is a nice model, don't get me wrong, and I was really happy to get it when I did. But Benny's spaceship has to be, a staple here. I haven't done the top 10 video yet, but I would definitely include that as far as some of my top 10 Lego models of all time. I bet some of you can already guess where. Now, I did recently have a whole bunch of power functions that I got from the Lego store, and I have added some of them into this drawer, as well as some other train track pieces. I'm actually thinking of taking everything from here and putting it into a larger drawer where I could have Great Ball contraption type pieces. It would just kind of be a mishmash between all three of those, which would be power functions, train stuff, and Great Ball contraption, specifically because that's the next mock or two that I want to work on. I also have some ideas for Beach Town mocks. Even though all this is still very crowded, I have growing ideas and a couple pieces I've been gathering over time in between, each of these boxes in order to make that happen. I do have a couple of these boxes that are actually going to go under the table for sets. A lot of them have been bagged up and they're ready for storage in this area, which I'm really happy with. Overall, this whole Lego room is getting to be a lot more spacious and a lot more efficient. I'm really happy with how this is all coming out, and I know that it still looks like a mess here and there with things, but there's still things to clean up, and I have been cleaning through them over time. So, thank you for watching this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know if you have any suggestions on trying to adjust things in the, in the near future. I do want to put the Lego sign somewhere else, too. And we'll see you next time with more Lego videos. I am going to get back to work, maybe with some of those papers. So, let's see you later.